To my right is Bounty Law series lead and Jake Cahill himself, Rick Dalton. And to my left is Rick's stunt double, Cliff Booth. So, Rick, explain to the audience exactly what it is a stunt double does.
Actors are required to do a lot of dangerous stuff. Cliff here is meant to help carry the load.
Is that how you describe your job, Cliff?
What, carrying his load? Yeah, it's about right.
Il y a tout juste un quart de siècle, il remportait la Palme d'Or avec un film, Pulp Fiction, qui renversait la table de la cinéphilie par sa violence, son humour, son insolente virtuosité. Depuis, chacun de ses longs métrages est attendu avec impatience par les amoureux du cinéma. Ses fans sont aussi passionnés que ses détracteurs sont virulents. Après Inglourious Basterds, qui avait valu ici un prix à son acteur Christophe Waltz, il est cette année pour la 3e fois en compétition à Cannes avec Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Il est mon invité pour clore notre festival. Ladies and gentlemen, Quentin Tarantino. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
As we say in French, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The time is 1969. And I think you arrived in LA in the mid-60s, 1965, right? And I was wondering if this strange mix of flower power and violence, TV, and new Hollywood was the scenery of your childhood.
Yeah, I don't think I really took in the violence or anything like that, you know, but by the time you get to be about 6 years old is when you start really having a consciousness about what's going on around you. You start having TV shows that you like, that you want to watch. And you start going to movies and everything. And no, I was very aware of the whole hippie culture. Yeah. That was going. I wasn't aware of the Manson culture, but I was aware of the hippie culture. One, because friends would have, my parents' friends would have parties and they would put on the Woodstock soundtrack. You couldn't turn on television without seeing hippies. You saw hippies walking all and down the street. You know, most of the babysitters that I ever had.
I heard you say one day that True Romance was one of your most autobiographical movies, and I was wondering while watching Once Upon a Time in America, if it wasn't now.
Yeah, well, no, it is. Well, True Romance is more or less about me, all right? But this was, this is more like Alfonso Cuarón Roma, all right? Yes. Where it's like, it's a memory piece. So I'm going back into my 6-year-old self to remember what everything was like.
And to me, Quentin, this is probably the most melancholic of all of your films. Do you feel some kind of nostalgia for this time, for the end of the 60s?
Well, I think, I think it's in league with Jackie Brown when it comes to that. I think they have a lot of qualities of the same, and both of them are, take place in a certain area of Los Angeles that I knew well and trying to recreate it.
How did you recreate it? What treatment did you choose to create this atmosphere precisely?
Well, I think, we're in a neat situation. I think we might be the last production of this size to be able to go into a busy city like Los Angeles and reverse the clock to the way we did. At least not just doing it with CGI and putting green screens up everywhere. No, we built things. And one of the reasons I think we might be one of the last ones is, one, it's going to be rare for somebody to want to spend that money to do that and to be able to have the situation that they can do that. But again, the city is just changing so rapidly. It was like if we weren't making this movie when we made it, we might not have been able to do it the way we did it like a year later. It was like we were running to do it on a bridge on fire. And we were just, so we're doing it, but the bridge is literally burning behind us.
Do you still love Hollywood between you and me as much as you did?
Yeah, I guess, yes, absolutely. But there's Hollywood, the industry, and there's Hollywood, the town, the city of Hollywood.
I'm talking about the industry, of course.
Yeah, well, I love all my friends in there and everything, and I have a good situation, so yeah, what's not to love?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, of course, it sounds like the beginning of a tale. What kind of tale, or even a fairy tale, are you talking about here?
Yeah, well, I definitely think there is a fabulistic aspect to it. I mean, in that regards, I mean, I think that, it's probably my most, if I'm going to attribute another director to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it's probably my most Claude Lelouch.
Oh, really?
Like film, all right? Because his movies have this, it has the veneer of realism, but there always is this almost romantic fairy tale
What movie of Claude Lelouch are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about every one I've ever seen. Just a Lelouch film. All right. There always is this kind of fable kind of aspect going on, and then always that kind of concept of like, the subtext of all his movies is the movies. I love the movies, and like, because people don't associate me that way, so I don't think they see it. But if I were to take out all that KHJ radio stuff and play Francis Lay music all through it, you'd see it immediately.
And Claude Lelouch happens to be a great director of actors, and you have to talk about your actors, and especially this duo, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt together. Why did you choose them? I mean, what do they represent for you in Hollywood today?
Well, they're, first and foremost, they're both two really terrific actors, and then who just happen to be two of the biggest stars of our generation, actually. In both cases, I've worked with both of them, so we like each other, and I'm fortunate enough that they respond to my material. But you have to remember, though, it's important that those two characters, Cliff and Rick, they need to go together. Because one is an actor and the other one is a stunt double. Harrison Ford has a stunt double. Well, he kind of looks like him. And you don't even have to look like the person, but you have to suggest the person. You have to be around the same size. You have to be able to wear the same clothes that they wear in doubling for them. And maybe your hair's a little different, but you wear a wig, and then you should the two fellas look alike. So they had to have an outer shell that went well together.
I think it's fascinating to hear you talk about actors because you don't all the time. And you're saying that they are terrific actors. What makes a good actor for you, Quentin?
Actually, I guess one is I like actors who do character work, who really invest in the character. Who is this guy? And finding out, and maybe they don't have all the answers right away, but they're going to just keep exploring who this person is. The story is important at first, but now they don't have to think about the story. Now they just care about who this is and let me think about the story. But then the other thing that to me makes a really good actor is they know the dialogue.
Do you help them a lot? Do you talk to them a lot? The actors?
Oh yeah, I can talk to them. Some actors want that more, some actors want that less. But I know the characters really well. I know exactly who they are, and even I'll write stuff out. And it's my job to judge how much an actor wants to know.
Yeah.
All right. If it doesn't involve the story, they can come up with something other than I came up with.
There is this one scene, Quentin, where a little girl gives Leo an acting lesson in the actor's studio way. What do you think of this acting school, the actor's studio? Would you say it was a good thing for cinema, for Hollywood, for the history of film?
You mean the actor studio in general?
Yeah.
Not what the little girl
This
was saying.
method.
Oh, yeah, well, she's not really coming from the actor studio. She's almost coming from there was a theater director named Harold Clurman, all right? He directed John Barrymore and Hamlet on Broadway, and he wrote a magnificent book. She's kind of coming a little bit more from the Harold Clurman theory.
But about a role, about truth, about fiction too. I have to ask you this question. In *Inglourious Basterds*, you changed the story of World War II. And it seems to me fiction has such an important part in your work. In today's world, what would you like to change with the magic of fiction?
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm sure you want to change a lot of things.
I would change a lot of things, all right? First, if I could snap my fingers and none of these digital cameras existed. And you were shooting here on 16 millimeter, and all the films at the Cannes Film Festival were playing on 35 millimeter or 16 millimeter, that would be great. If I could snap my finger a second time and all the cell phones in the world were uninvented, I'd do that.
You know that Claude Lelouch that you mentioned shot part of his new film with an iPhone?
I think he shot the other one too, with which I really liked.
Once again, it's true that you shot this new movie with argentic film. How long do you think it will be possible to do that, Quentin?
Oh, I think Kodak's in pretty good shape. I think we were. It was dicey there for a little while, but I think me and Christopher Nolan and I think we in the studios made a commitment. I think we're okay.
But what would we lose if we were losing the texture of film in the future?
It could be unmatched. Well, you'd lose me. That's for sure.
You said several times that Inglourious Basterds was not totally finished when it was here in Cannes, when it was shown in Cannes. The version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that we saw here, is it the one that will be released in theaters?
Yeah, for the most part. It's not going to. I'll have like about a week and a half. I might play with it a little bit. It's not going to be shorter. I might add a little something to it or something.
Do you know already what you're going to add?
It's all thoughts. It's all thoughts. It's like I'll have a little bit of time. But the idea is I kind of wanted to go. I wanted to come to Cannes with a tighter movie than normal. I wanted to, if anything, I wanted it to be too short.
What does it mean, tighter?
Just tighter, as opposed to looser.
Do you do all the editing? I mean, you're here all the time and you do everything and you control everything.
Oh yeah, I'm in the editing room every day. I mean, my editor does the physical cuts, but yeah, we're sitting right next to each other.
Do you feel you're very controlling as a director or not? In the editing and the...
Well, it's my movie.
Yeah, sure. And it's important to consider, I mean, your movie, the fact that you do everything, Quentin, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like the last draft of the script is the first cut of the movie.
Wow.
And the last edit of the movie is the final draft of the script.
Quentin, what makes you the most proud about this movie in particular?
Well, I had a really, really good movie in my head. I walked around with this movie in my head for a few years. And I do feel I achieved the movie that I saw in my head. So I'm pretty happy about that.
So a good film for you is the film that the director had in mind and managed to do. Was it the case for all your films?
Well, yeah, I guess it is the case for all my films. But this one, I guess, maybe was, it was one of the more difficult ones.
You said one day that you will shot only 10 feature films. This one is the 9th, is that right?
Yes.
Do you have in mind the next one already?
No, that's part of the fun of it right now, is I have no idea.
And how does it come, an idea? It comes just one day?
No, it's just, something will happen, but it's like, usually it's like, I'll be on this movie for about a year, and then I usually have about a year off, and somewhere in that, towards the end of that year, something will present itself.
But the last one, it has to be a good idea, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not in any hurry, but I always said 10 or I turn 60, so whichever comes first.
Will you wait until you're 60 to
No, I'm just saying, no, if I get 60, then no 10.
You sure you don't know what the last one will be about?
Oh, no, I have absolutely no clue.
Thank you so much, Quentin, for this interview.
My pleasure. It's a nice interview.
Thank you, Quentin. Thank you for this interview. Votre film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, avec Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie notamment, est donc en compétition au Festival de Cannes. Il sera peut-être au palmarès Dieu qu'on vous le souhaite et il sortira dans les salles françaises le 14 août prochain. Merci infiniment. C'était notre dernier grand entretien de la quinzaine. Merci à toutes et à tous de l'avoir suivi. Tout de suite, la suite.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
Like you. Rick fucking knows.